Hi, and welcome to the Changing Perspectives podcast, the show where we discuss a variety of topics including grief, parenting, health and wellness, and relationships. Join us and explore a number of changing perspectives. We're your hosts, Jenni and Josh Brennan. Hi, Jenni.
Hi.
What's happening?
Nothing.
I might sound a little weird this episode.
You do sound a little weird.
Yeah, I'm fighting a cold. Actually, I'm on the tail end of it, I think.
A man cold.
No, it's a regular cold. What makes it a man cold? I wonder.
When you get sick, you're sicker than anybody, and it's the end of the world.
I don't think that's accurate.
So accurate.
I went to work today.
Did you go yesterday?
No.
Nope.
Listen, I work in an office that seems to be a petri dish of germ sharing.
I think any office is a petri dish.
That's true.
Germ sharing, yeah.
But ours is 24/7. We have folks that sit at the desks 24/7, and I think we share germs a little easier than the normal office. But anyway, hey everybody, welcome to episode 54. We're back with you with another Changing Perspectives podcast episode. We are well into 2020 now. By well into, that means January 3rd. This is when we're recording this live from our Dizzy Bird studios. The last episode, 53, you weren't here. You were subbed out with associate producer Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was just not ready. I had no energy to come and do this.
Yeah, plus you were working and yeah. But you're here. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to have you back with me.
Yes, the dogs were asleep.
They were asleep. I don't know what happened.
Until we
they
turned
just
the
woke
microphones
up.
on. We were talking before, so I think I said something and I woke up Norma Jean, and now she's causing problems over here.
Cute butt wiggling.
I know.
Little pit bull butt. I hope everybody enjoyed episode 53. Probably, if you're not into Star Wars or Disney Plus or pop culture stuff, probably didn't tune in. But we had a review, a short pint-sized perspectives review, me and Jacob, of The Mandalorian. So if you are a fan of that show or Star Wars in general, spoiler alert, if you haven't checked out that episode, feel free to do so. A couple other quick housekeeping type things. Don't forget our t-shirt photo contest. Tag us on Facebook or Instagram with a picture of you listening to the show, or a screenshot of you listening to the show, and be entered into a drawing to win a Changing Perspectives t-shirt. We just announced a couple winners a couple shows ago. We are going to do that about once a month. So be on the lookout for that. Enter into that contest. And don't forget, we also have our iTunes reviews featured on the show, read over the air. We didn't read one in the last episode, just a pint-sized perspectives, but I do have a new review to read at the end of today's show.
There's another new one?
No, not new for the listening audience.
Oh, I see.
But not new, for us.
I see.
But submit the new one. Listen, brand new ones, I'll probably try to read those first if you've got brand new ones, but I will get to the older ones as well. And I like the one from today, so we'll do that at the end of the show. So Jenni, what are we talking about today in episode 54?
I don't really know. I had all this energy before I got here, and now I
know it was your idea to get in the studio. I was very excited when you told me.
Yeah.
But you didn't have content quite yet.
I had lots of ideas.
Okay.
I gave you lots of ideas this week.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's lots of ideas. I realized that I ran out of energy in 2019.
Yeah. Well, listen to Jenni and Josh, What the Heck Happened, episode 52, I think.
Yeah, but
and
now
you can learn more about that.
Insight into it. Like there was health issues going on. But there was also sort of a change in work. I was teaching less just because that happens when you're an adjunct professor. Sometimes sometimes you get 3 classes that you're teaching at a time.
Right.
And in my case, earlier in the year, I think it was 4. And then sometimes you have none. And so I took on far more clients and was working late more often. And I realized that is draining for me. The more clients I see, the less energy I have. And as we got closer and closer to the holidays and people's holiday grief and holiday stress, I ran out of energy for anything outside of work. I think for sure I had energy for my clients and my students still.
Yeah.
and then try to have energy for my kids. But then this kind of fell to the wayside. So I've been
Something
thinking,
had to take a break. Something had to be sidelined.
And this is something that we do partially for us, but also for other people. And so something had to kind of give. And this was something that could give a little bit and be flexible about. But it's had me thinking a lot about kind of renegotiating and managing expectations, my own expectations. And as I was thinking about that over the past week or so, I got one of my weekly, or I don't know, they might even come a couple times a week, emails from the Gottman Institute about relationships. And it talked about kind of renegotiating and kind of renewing. I don't have it in front of me. Kind of evaluating and planning for sort of the next year in your relationship with your partner. And so I think a lot of people are kind of doing that right now. That's sort of, if you're on social media at all over the past, if you're on social media ever at the end of a year, the beginning of a year, you see a lot of posts of like, this year was filled with this and this and this for me, and here were my accomplishments, and here are my challenges, and here are the things I want for 2020. I deliberately did not do one this year. I don't think you did either, did you?
No, I did not.
I don't know why that excited Norma Jean, but she's very excited by that. I did not do one deliberately because I kind of don't like New Year's resolutions. I just feel like there's always a lot of focus on people fixing themselves. I don't know. It feels really negative to me. However, this year, I have been focused a lot on sort of intentions and sort of being really mindful as you step into the new year. And I think that a lot of people are doing that and focusing on themselves. But I think it's important for people to do that in their relationships too.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious if you have given any thought to sort of your own intentions moving into the new year and what's important to you, and also have you given any thought into the relationship aspect of it?
I think, I have.
I did ask that in a closed-ended way.
Yeah, you did.
Which leads me as a therapist to then say, tell me more.
One of the things I plan on really focusing on this year with you is teaching you where to put the microphone.
Haha.
Pull it up a little bit. Okay. There you go. I think I agree with you on the resolution piece.
That you don't like them.
Yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of renewal. You know, at the start of a year, you sort of reset for yourself and your relationship and your family and your goals and everything. But the idea of New Year's resolution, I feel like people might set themselves up for failure.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
I feel like it creates this sort of negative loop. Also, Everett has a sock right now. Speaking of negative loops.
Why does he have a sock?
Because I said to you, Everett can't stay in here. Remember our teenager was in here with us, and I said, take Everett with you. And you said, no, I think he's fine. And Everett ran under the desk before we even tried to call him out. He just heard me say, like, take Everett with you. And he was like, no, I'll stay. I'll be a good boy. And I would just like to point out that I was correct. That Everett can't handle being in here.
That looks like Jacob's sock. I don't think he likes that sock, so it's okay.
So it's okay for it to be a toy.
It becomes a toy.
I do. I think resolutions lead to people then feeling really disappointed 3 weeks from now. 3 weeks from when they kind of 3 weeks into January, because they set these really high expectations, these huge resolutions. They're basically saying, I'm going to change my whole life overnight. And then when they don't, because that's a very black and white approach to things, they feel like crap. And so they beat themselves up. So yeah, there's like a lot of pressure around it. And there's also kind of like, I guess, negative attitudes towards it too. I just saw on social media kind of one of the posts I see a lot at this time of year, which is, hey, all you people that go to the gym regularly, be nice to the newbies. This kind of negative connotation, like, oh, it's January. Now there's a lot of people at the gym. It's going to be, the treadmills are going to be full and the gym is going to be more crowded. Like there's just this kind of, I don't know, negativity around it. However, I think because 2019 was such a challenging year for me, in all aspects of my life except for work, that I'm just trying to be mindful because I don't want to have another year like that. So I just got really sidetracked. But
that's okay.
Okay, but it's hard for me. It's easy for me to get sidetracked when you're typing on your computer and not looking at me.
You know, that's the fourth wall stuff. You're not supposed to
What are you
talk
doing?
about that. Well, I was pulling up. My next point was going to be, there's a lot of focus on New Year's goals, right, and New Year's resolutions, and on social media, you see people posting memes about how, they don't expect to meet any of them.
Right.
And how it's sort of funny. It's like a punchline.
Yeah.
So why would you choose something for yourself that you know that you're just not going to?
Well, because I think you believe it. You want it to be true. And I had intended to do I had intended for us to do an episode about holiday grief. And actually the holiday grief that I was sort of living in was too thick to be able to pull it together, because my caseload was the heaviest, the fullest it's ever been.
Right.
And there's a lot when you're primarily a grief therapist, a lot of your caseload is people that are actively grieving, but then you know what? Grief touches everybody. So even people that I'm seeing that are not coming to see me for grief, a lot of them experience loss. And so there's a lot of heaviness, and that gives me a lot of insight. I think a lot of people out there are walking around during the holidays with real broken hearts, and they're pretending that this is a really joyful time of year, but it's really not for them. It brings up, feelings of, childhood issues that are kind of coming to the surface, or family issues, or relationship changes, financial stuff. It's a really hard time of year for people. And so I think once people get to the other side of it, because that's what a lot of people say, like, I'm just trying to get through. Once they get through the other side, there's like this sigh of relief, a little bit of hopefulness. And so I think people truly believe that they're going to make all these changes. It's like they've got all this energy. They're going to run a marathon, and then they don't really have it in them. So I think that's why people set these high goals for themselves, is I do think that they believe them and they want them.
Do you think
but change is really, really hard?
Oh, yeah. Do you think that people that through the holidays, grief and loss is, makes it really tough for them? Do you think that affects their ability to, set in motion their plans for the new year? Like it sort of spills over into, New Year's Day and after?
I think for some, probably yes and no. I think for some people, they're really sluggish after it and kind of emotionally spent. And so they don't have the energy. They don't have the motivation. They're kind of just really down after it. And I think others are really fueled by it. Like they're just so relieved that they made it through, that kind of stokes their fire a little bit and ignites it. So I think it's totally kind of a personal situation for people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Will you continue to be, will your caseload continue to be pretty high through January?
In terms of numbers?
Yeah. Because you said, just mentioned before that it goes up
here's
over the holidays.
It does. Well, it didn't. Yes, it does go up over the holidays, actually, because there are people who sort of come back to the therapy process because stuff gets triggered for them. And I always tell people, if you've seen me and then we've stopped the therapeutic process, and something comes up for you, that I'm going to prioritize you to get you back in. So there have been times when I say I'm full for new clients, but not for returning clients. So yeah, I guess it does always go up during the holidays. But I think I'm trying to be really deliberate and I try to do that, I guess, at the beginning of every year professionally anyways. I love Excel. So I guess you don't know this, but I've been working on my end of the year Excel document, beginning of the year Excel document, and setting goals for myself.
Okay.
But one of the things I'd like to do is not work so late so often, which kind of leads into sort of what I thought we would talk about today, which is sort of our relationship intentions and kind of modeling how to do that for other people. Because I feel like part of the reason I went into private practice was to create my own hours and create my own schedule. I have some flexibility and ownership while doing what I love. And so I could be more present at home, and I don't feel present at home. When I work super late hours, I'm getting home just in time for bedtime, essentially.
Right.
And so my intention is to try to get away from doing that, so that it can be better for our family, and so that I can be more present as like a wife, and a mom, and not be so drained at the weekend, by the time I get through the week.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you'll get to the weekend and you'll say the number of patients you saw, and it's mind boggling. And for you, like an 8-hour day, and this is true of other folks that work for themselves or have like a client-based business. I think more so for you or somebody that has an office where patients or clients come to see you, like an 8-hour day for you, if you don't build in a break or you build in like a 1 hour, like it's just constant. Like you don't have. Yeah,
my sessions are, I try to keep them to 45 minutes, but some clients are harder to get out the door. Some clients have a harder time leaving in 45 minutes. And sometimes it's harder to kind of wrap up what we're talking about in 45 minutes. So I theoretically leave myself 10 to 15 minutes between sessions. And that's really just enough time to like check emails, use the restroom, and maybe eat a snack. Like I think I said this last night because there was leftovers from dinner. And I said, you can bring them. I can't even eat lunch at work because I don't have time to heat up a meal and eat it. I did though start this term deliberately building in an hour break. So I built it into my schedule. It says break. And although I'm breaking that rule next week, I give myself an hour break in the middle of one day.
One day.
Because I teach in the morning and then I typically see 8 patients after that. So now I teach in the morning and only leave room for 7 patients and give myself an hour break. So I'm trying to practice that a little bit.
It's always tough. I mean, it's tough for you too and other folks that work for themselves. A break means no money.
Right. And so and people do this, and we talked about this, I think, on an earlier episode, sort of that culture of taking lunch at your desk, so that you could, we did. Kind of get out of there on time. My choice is if I don't take it out, if I say I want to see 8 clients in a day and I don't sort of build in a bigger buffer between sessions, and I don't give myself an hour-long break, then that means I could see patients from noon to 8 and then I'm done. But if I give myself breaks, then I'm seeing less patients, which means I'm less available to people, and I'm bringing in less income, and I'm sort of there longer. So it's about sort of balance and renegotiating. And so I've been renegotiating over the past week or so, like what my goals are. I guess it's not the microphone cover that makes me asthma-y. I think it's the talking.
Guess that's a word.
It is.
I don't think the foam pop filter helps though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been renegotiating that kind of with myself. Like, what are my goals? What are the sort of boundaries that are important to me? What worked in 2019 and what maybe didn't work? Like, what contributed to the fact that I would make it to Friday and be empty? Like, my gas tank is empty. But I think it's important for couples to do that in their relationship too, and in their family. So not just set these individual goals, not just set these professional goals. You do it in the workplace, annual reviews, right? Mm-hmm. But do couples ever really sit down and do like an annual review?
No.
And so I think that's kind of what I wanted us to do a little bit of today and kind of model and encourage people to do. An annual review.
I want to shout out what you had mentioned before, your email that you received from the Gottman Institute. It's called the Marriage Minute email. So we'll shout out that link so you can sign up if you're interested to sign up, so you can get those emails that Jenni referenced. And you forwarded that email, and it's about, I just navigated away. That's helpful. It says, Happy New Year. Resolution making and change may be on your mind this time of year. As the chaos of the holiday season subsides, take a moment to think about what shared meaning you would like to create in your relationships this year. So I like that concept of shared meaning. Mm-hmm. And
I think it ties in with like mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
Like really kind of being deliberate and mindful about things. And I think we often, not like we collectively, not just we, you and I, people are applying that logic to all other areas of their lives, but not necessarily their relationships.
Absolutely. The Marriage Minute that talks about your 2020 vision which is kind of a cool concept. 20, it's like a little pun, 2020 vision for 2020. It says focus on what is truly meaningful for you and what is realistic. I think that's important.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this in a second, but I think that's maybe how people sometimes fail on their resolutions is they're not choosing realistic ones for themselves.
Right.
Ones that, maybe you have this big audacious goal, vision that may not be realistic, but it's fun to talk about or fun to write down and maybe bucket list type things, but also give yourself some realistic goals or resolutions.
Yes.
But I would like to say for us, for me, what refreshes me every year is we happen to have a wedding anniversary in January. Right. And so I think that, and correct me if you disagree, this is what this
I don't
is
know.
the point
I don't
of
know
this.
if you know this about me, but if I disagree with you, I will tell you.
Between your asthma and my cold, this should sound great, this episode. I'm trying to mute and cough button myself as much as I can, but I apologize if I don't. But for me, I feel like, and we try to celebrate our anniversary every year, usually with some sort of a trip.
With quality time. If we
quality
go back to
time
love
together.
Language. Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
like we don't exchange gifts.
No, we exchanged this gift, this trip that we take.
We make it a point to try to at least get away to this like favorite hotel. I don't want to. I don't want people to like it or to follow us there.
Right.
But it's just this hotel that has become meaningful to us.
If not that, last year we did a different trip though.
We went to Mexico.
Yeah, we went to Mexico.
I'm a little sad that we're not going to Mexico this year.
But I'm so excited to go back to our favorite hotel. We are going to celebrate our anniversary. We both made it just serendipitously happened. Like we made adjustments to our schedule to make it work. And for me, I
don't think it serendipitously happened. I think it
just happened to work out.
I think that. No, I think we made it work out. I think that
right.
We both, as the end of the year was kind of drawing upon us and January was approaching, and we were feeling sort of the craze of going on vacation and then coming right back full speed into life here and really not getting any alone time together. I think we both. I looked at our schedule and I said, I don't think we can do it this year. Like, I literally don't see a single night that we can get away.
I guess that's what I'm talking about.
That doesn't involve like basketball, but it took work because I looked at it initially and I said, dude, there's nothing like between my class, which I can't move, and the basketball games during the week for our oldest and the basketball games during the weekend for both kids, which you're a coach for, and we don't like to miss our kids' games. I don't see a way to get to a hotel before 9 p.m. and not have to leave before 7 a.m. Right. And so it took work.
And I was like,
for us both sitting down.
I'm not taking that for an answer.
And you moved a work meeting for me. Well, for us.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I had said, even if you do have that work meeting up in New Hampshire, I could go, we could stay at our hotel and then we could drive up to New Hampshire together and go to this great tacos place. But then we realized the tacos place would not be open.
Yeah.
And
that was a bit of a deal breaker.
It kind of was. Or you can go to your work meeting and I'll just stay in the hotel and like sleep late. But so it took effort. And so I think you're right that is something that is important to both of us, that quality time. It always coincides with like the National College Football Championship.
I want to get back to why it's important, but I think for us, for me, it sets the tone for the year.
I guess
for us as a couple. Yeah. And I need it. Like I like yearn for this every year.
It's a strong, cheesy word.
I know, but
well, there's an intention behind it, right? Like a shared meeting, like. Mm-hmm. This is important. It celebrates
our wedding too, and which was just so great. It was, I know people talk about their weddings being great and everything, but ours was so magical and so great, and we had such an amazing night, and it meant so much to me. It was a way to celebrate us. The place we got married at is no longer there. We had lifelong friends that were there, and friends, and we got married a long time ago, so we've got folks that were there that were special to us that aren't longer with us. It's just such a special night. And I remember, and we experienced our wedding together. I know, to each their own. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum when it comes to their weddings, but we did our wedding together. We didn't leave each other's sides once, really, unless to go to the restroom. And
and we actually upset a lot of people with our choices too, in terms of like our guest list and the time of day and where it was and the time of year. And I didn't traditions that we wanted to do versus ones we didn't do.
Now, we both we like to partake in alcoholic beverages now, and we both love different types of, like I'm a beer guy, and we talk about whatever. We didn't drink that night.
No, well, we deliberately chose not to.
I had 2 drinks. It was the 2 champagne toasts. That was it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that I was completely sober the entire time. I didn't leave your side until it was to go prepare to sing to you, which we can talk about in a different episode. But it was so special to me. And the fact that we do this every year to celebrate not only that day, the day we were our wedding day, but the fact that the celebration is in January and it sort of sets the tone for the year. It's important. In the Marriage Minute email that you share with me, it says, what rituals or regular moments of connection would you like to implement together, or what would you like to keep doing? And for me,
go ahead.
I need to keep doing our January celebration.
Sometimes it's not January. Sometimes it's our November dating anniversary.
Yes,
that's also some couples don't celebrate that. But I think when you get together in high school and that's your anniversary for like 10 years, it's something you celebrate. So we do celebrate that. So sometimes we wind up there for that anniversary, but either or. But we didn't end up there for our November anniversary because 1 week later we were going to Disney.
Right.
Or a few weeks later. But I was thinking about that today because I was booking a sitter for a night away in February.
Yeah.
And realizing that like those date nights don't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
For me. They did when our kids were babies, and I'm still a big proponent of date nights, but they don't yield the same benefits for me. And we have you and I have not I don't think I've ever said this to you, so this is kind of real happening right now, that going out and having a couple drinks and sharing some appetizers at a nice restaurant or at a local pub or something like that, it's fun, but it's like not enough of a break from responsibilities. And I love our life and I love our pets and our children and and our friends and all of that, but it doesn't feel like enough of a break from the work. Like it's just not it doesn't recharge me, and it feels like it doesn't recharge us as a couple enough. And so as I've been thinking about our January trip, and then booking the sitter for a night away, which just kind of happened, our friends have tickets to and invited us to a comedy show, and then other friends are going to the same comedy show, and I was like, I'm so old, I hate that it's such a late show and it's going to be a drive back, and they were like, well, we're just staying in a hotel, which I hadn't even thought of. And then so that's what we're doing. So we're going to the comedy show and staying in a hotel, and then coming home in the morning. Like it's just this little trip away, but booking that today made me realize like that's really, really going to be a powerful thing for me, knowing that like, oh, we had this like that's like a date night to me, like that once a month in January, once a month in February. And then historically for the past 2 years, we've gone away on like an adults only trip with some couple friends in March.
Yep.
And so I think we need to start thinking about like where, and I think before that, a few years before that, March has been a time where we've gone away a few times.
It was actually. Yeah, because I remember like right before baseball season got going, we got away, just the two of us. The
end of March. So that tends to sort of feel like a time where we historically go away, like get on a plane and leave for a few days. And I think that, so I guess for me, really being deliberate about planning quality time and defining that quality time for me now is more time.
I agree. That's important to me as
well.
And
we also don't have a family vacation booked right now.
We're going to rectify that though. We got some thoughts.
We have lots of thoughts. And I have.
It sounds like we're
planned
going to
out
do
17.
sort of. The boys want to do sort of a hybrid trip of what we did last summer. Like we did that rent a house thing in Florida. We ended up going to Disney for a day, but also doing that again, but doing more at Disney, maybe staying at Disney Hotel. So
I actually looked yesterday, and the Disney hotel that we like is that they are offering free dining for the dates that we were interested in, but it's sold out at the hotel that we like.
Okay.
But so that's also an intention, is that I think what also is good for our relationship is when we have quality time as a family, just the four of us.
Yes.
And I also think that time, like a dinner or a trip to the movies is no longer enough.
Yeah.
Like we need even a bigger break as a family.
Yeah, I agree.
So that those nights away. Last year, because our oldest was on a travel baseball team, and that meant traveling to like New Hampshire and Vermont, so in Maine, sometimes we would sort of stay at a hotel because the game would just be so far away, or the games or the tournament would be so far away. I'm realizing that part of the reason I'm sad that he's not doing that team this year.
I know.
Not because he didn't make it, because he made it and then decided he didn't want to do it, which is really heartbreaking for us, but we are supporting his decision.
He's switching sports, so we're excited about.
Yeah, but part of the reason I'm sad is because that means that we had like these built-in excuses for little family getaways, and now we don't. And so I want to.
We're gonna have to put those in.
I think we need to have a staff meeting soon where maybe that's what we do a little bit when we're away in January, where we like plot out some, bucket list ideas, sort of like where we would like to go. As a family. So that I guess that's my intention and shared meaning moving into 2020 as a partner, is that I really want to be deliberate about quality time, because I really need it.
So I had to tell you, when I travel to the city to visit a hospital for work, I drive by that place we stayed at. The place with the cookies.
The boys love that hotel.
I know.
It's like, it's not near anything. It's in like the outskirts of like Boston University. Yeah,
but there's a pool, and
there's an indoor pool, and they have cookies in the room.
A somewhat famous jazz club at the bottom floor. I drove by it twice over the past few months for work, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, the boys, that was a last minute thing, actually, because we booked it, and then the game got canceled.
Yeah, so we got to stay longer.
But we ended up staying anyways, and I think that's one of the boys' highlights from last year. It was a fun night away where we did nothing. They swam, and we went out to dinner in Boston, and then came back and they swam some more, and then it was a hotel room with two separate beds for the boys, like a bed for us, and then there was a Murphy bed.
It was like a little suite. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so that was.
But and we stayed down the Cape too.
We rented like a little condo place.
Yeah, similar situation. So, I guess
this didn't cost a whole lot of money.
No,
like this meant
very affordable.
We did a lot of it on like Hotels.com or like Priceline. Like we were.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a hotel snob.
I think that we've just sort of discovered in our talking back and forth that for 2020, it's true for both us as a couple and us as a family. Time together. So. And quality time away, right?
Wait, because there's something new. It's about kind of doing something new. I don't know if you just heard that loud bang, but a gate just fell in the kitchen. That was from a cat. This is why we like to get away. Yeah. But there is a very, kind of real component here that's worth talking about, that is like, that costs money. And so we have to that's why I think there's an element of wanting to sort of plan this and be mindful and be smart and economical about this.
Right. I agree. One of the other things that is on this Marriage Minute email about your 2020 vision is, what would you like to accomplish together? Do you mind if we switch gears and talk about health for a second?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I don't mind. Yes, that is
okay. So I think that is one of the other big things for me this year. Not only with regards to having a more healthy year, as far as not having to have any surgeries or go to PT for an injury or anything like that. But also is making good decisions for fitness and health and eating. And I think that it's important to have those goals, but that's what I want to accomplish individually. But I love that right now we are engaged in doing it together.
Right.
That's important.
It makes it easier when one of us isn't kind of, not deliberately, but, kind of non-deliberately sabotaging the other.
Yeah.
Or creating space for the other to sabotage themselves.
Right. And I know that for me, you definitely push me and motivate me to make better decisions, for sure. So I'm excited about that. Right now,
like in this moment, you mean?
Yeah. When we are both focused on health and clean eating and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And have health goals and weight loss goals. When you motivate me to do better, to make better decisions. And
you do too. I mean, I think that's true for most couples, that when you're both committed, it doesn't have to be the same goal, but when you're committed to like a similar goal around that, it just is easier.
Right.
It's easier. That's why there's all these like Facebook groups, like I'm, clean eating challenges and lose 10 pounds and all those sort of healthy vegan recipe groups, because you need support from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you need support from your partner.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's also something that's important to both of us as we're sort of renegotiating our sort of terms of our relationship right now, is that we kind of have a duty to support each other's health.
Right. I totally agree. Goals. And it makes it easier.
We're not getting any younger, so
no.
It's more important.
We're 40 now. So that's big for me for this year. Is I know that's a lot of what a lot of people choose health as probably their number one or main resolution. And I feel like we as a group, as society, as family and friends, we should support each other. I want to go back to what you said about people complaining about gyms being more crowded. Mm-hmm. I think people should celebrate that and support that and be like, hey, let's go. It's that may be annoying that the treadmills are full, but that's good. That's good. You know?
I guess there's a way to flip that, right? Because I think a lot of people get annoyed because they're like, oh, these people are only here for like 3 weeks and then they're going to leave. Like, just hurry up and be done with your resolution. Yeah. What if we flip that and, found a way to be really excited about that? But look, I'm not even one of those newbies. I haven't made it back to the gym yet. For me, when I am really being healthy and really focused on my health, it has to start with my nutrition and what I'm eating and how I'm taking care of my body. That has to be my foundation, because otherwise I could be at the gym for 14 hours a week and just be eating pizza and nachos and drinking beer every night, and it's not going to make me healthy. I know. So I have to start with that foundation of the food. So I will be back at the gym probably in a few weeks once I have a sort of strong foundation. That's my goal.
A good way to start.
But it would be great if everyone could really, truly be supportive of each other.
Yeah, but instead of being annoyed.
We're not really a supportive culture.
No, we're not.
We're very much
judgmental.
Mm-hmm. As Americans, and maybe more so we as New Englanders and Bostonians.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're really not a collaborative, supportive group of people.
No, I think that's absolutely accurate. And it makes it tough. It makes it tough to stick to goals and stick to resolutions when you know that there's not really a support system.
Right, because you need each other. And so I think that kind of leads me into this other sort of, I think, intention. And I think we started to be kind of more mindful about this towards the end of the year, is really being deliberate about which dog we let in the studio with us.
Norma Jean, what is your 2020 vision? To Norma eat Jean, Everett's face.
Norma, she just wants to play, but she sit down, please. You can't be in here. what was I saying? Being deliberate about who we surround ourselves with, right?
Yes.
Like it's not, we're talking about how important it is for us to support each other and what a difference that makes, but also surrounding ourselves with family and friends and peers and colleagues who kind of share similar goals and who lift us up and challenge us and make us as happy as Norma Jean makes Everett, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They're
it's important
right now.
It's important. Like my good friend who I work with, my buddy Keith, he listens, so I'll shout him out. He'll always look at me if I go to eat something at work or there's like a free plate of food or something. He'd be like, "Hey, are you supposed to eat that?" So it's I know he's being a little bit facetious and funny, but he's actually being supportive, and I love that. And I think that's important for everybody around you to support whatever your goals are and to support each other, and not in a negative way or judgmental way, but to be like, "Hey, how's it going? How's Weight Watchers going? Or
I don't really think
been running lately?"
I don't think the responsibility is on the other people. I think the responsibility is on yourself to think about like who are the people in my life that I need, and that are a positive presence in my life that are kind of worth the price, and for whom I can feel like I'm also contributing, like I'm a positive presence, or I'm a supportive, or I'm a helpful presence in their life, kind of being really mindful about that. And sometimes that means backing away from some relationships, and sometimes that means leaning into others. And that can change, but being really kind of mindful about that as a couple too.
Yeah, I like that. So I think for me that my 2020 vision is absolutely time with you and with the boys and us as a family, and leaning into those moments we get to be together and really get away and spend quality time together, and also the health journey, and really supporting each other.
Health, not just physical health, but like
absolutely,
like not skinny or not like being fit, but being like really healthy.
Yeah.
So that, no matter what comes our way this year for health problems, which hopefully will be nothing, we can say, yeah, that's happening, but you know what? I have a really strong nutritional foundation, and I have a really strong physical foundation.
Yeah.
And so that's going to make me sort of more able to handle things. So I guess I'm kind of getting back to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs here.
Yeah.
And my intention is for us to be more deliberate about what our foundation looks like right now.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. What you said just reminded me of something. I am, during the winter months, I have a routine. I'm pretty regimental about eating airborne. Taking the vitamin C immune supplements. And I do think it works. However,
as you sit across from me sick right now.
Okay, but listen to this. So you know how I bought the generic.
Are you going to blame this on are you going to blame this on Target?
Well, no. So yes.
What?
Well, I there's two different brands of this supplement that I usually like. And we bought the other one recently, and I wasn't a big fan of it. And so there was a few days where I didn't take it, like a week where I stopped taking it. And now I'm sick. Listen, I'm a proponent of Airborne. I've been, or some sort of similar, we're not getting money from Airborne.
It could be a coincidence.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we would have to do a controlled study, but there's not enough data for me to say that is definitely what's going on.
What you said about health and nutrition, getting your body to a place that I
think during that time that you were not taking it, you probably also were not running and were not eating clean and were not getting good sleep. And you were stressed about the upcoming holidays.
I was running, but those other things were true, yeah.
So there could be that too.
Yeah, maybe.
Where did we get off on that one? What was the point there? I don't know. But I feel like this is important. When I got that marriage minute the other day, I thought, this is something we should probably do. And let's, in the spirit of our podcast, let's do that on the air so people can see what that's like. I think both of us, our energy is low today. It's a Friday night for us, and so it's the end of the week, and It's the end of New Year's week, which is just a weird week.
Weird week with it smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. And I'm fighting off whatever it is that you have, and I'm hungry. Just because I haven't had dinner yet, and you are sick.
Yeah.
And so our energy is low. But you could certainly, as a couple, like, do this on a night out, or you could, so this could be more fun than we've made it.
I've had fun. What are you talking about?
I just feel like our energy is low. It could be more energetic.
It's good.
And I also feel like this episode kind of feels a little more mellow. And that is not my intention moving into the new year.
Yeah.
And I don't actually know what I'm ready to commit to doing. I think this podcast is another piece of our relationship, and I don't know what I'm able to commit to in terms of frequency right now. So I'm not going to commit to anything.
Well, right now we're about once a week.
Yeah.
Excuse me, everybody. And I think that's a pretty good sort of secret goal.
I would love to, but you just named it. I mean, I would
know.
love to say, like, we'll have one for you every Monday, but I'm not ready to actually make that commitment. I have to do some more deliberate thinking about things right now. But there are some topics that are in the works that are not going to be so mellow, that are going to be a little lighter and more upbeat. So stay tuned for those.
Yeah.
But I guess thank you for bearing with us as we did this. And I would encourage couples to do this, to kind of think about your relationship intentions. And maybe you're listening to this in June. Maybe you've just stumbled across us, or maybe you went on hiatus and didn't listen to us during the month of January. I think this is something you can do whenever, right? Some employees,
absolutely,
some employers do their annual reviews at like the date of hire. So you could pair this with an anniversary, or pair this with a birthday, or pair this with a holiday, or just pair it with a Tuesday night,
or whatever.
Just because. But I think that relationships always can benefit from being renegotiated. I think friendships too. Parenting relationships always have to be renegotiated because kids are changing. So, like a 7:00 bedtime might work when your kids are 3. But when they're 17, maybe it doesn't. It has to be renegotiated. So I think all relationships at any point can benefit from this sort of conversation around renegotiating things.
I like that. It's open. You can leave yourself open to having the conversation whenever. Mm-hmm. Before we end, I want to read the final paragraph of the Marriage Minute email from the Gottman Institute, which was the inspiration for this episode. It says, when couples share a dream or a vision of their future, or for their future, the inevitable ups and downs of any relationship are more manageable. Even when the sea gets choppy, there's comfort in knowing where you're going and that everyone is on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Do you have anything else for us today, Jenny?
I don't have anything else for us today. I was just going to add, I think it could be helpful to kind of write these down too. So we probably should write these down.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they are written down. We've recorded them.
Yes,
so
that's true.
So
we have it on
recording them
record.
in some way, you write them, or you say them on your own podcast, or you email them to each other or whatever. I think it's important to write that so that you can go back to those.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can get more specific. I mean, ours were sort of general, and we know what we want to do. And
we may, when the mics are off, we may want to do something more specific and more personal. There may be things that we want to sort of flesh out a little bit more and be more specific about.
Right. So anything else?
All
right. Well, before we close out, I want to read that new iTunes review. Well, new to you guys listening.
Okay.
This is from IBTFY Lindsay. And the title of this review is Thoughtful Conversations. Listened to the Death and Disney episode and was pleasantly surprised that they were able to take a well-worn topic and make it thoughtful, nuanced, and dig up new insights not normally discussed. Appreciated this conversation that touched on loss, survivor guilt, as well as indelible pop culture touchstones. Look forward to listening to more.
Thanks.
That's cool.
IBFYU Lindsay? Is that what it was?
Close.
Okay.
That's all right. Thank you very much for that great review. And don't forget, everyone, write us, review us. You may hear your iTunes review read over the air. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. For today's show notes links, you can check out the Gottman Institute. Just Google the Gottman Institute and check out the Marriage Minute. You can sign up for those emails. Are those daily, weekly, Jenny?
I don't know. At some point, I should do my homework and find out. I feel like they are at least weekly, but I feel like they might be maybe twice a week. Okay. And they really are literally like a minute. Like there's something you can quickly scan, very short. sometimes it's like a little paragraph, and then they have little links if you're interested. And some of them are like, oh, okay, and you delete them. Some of them you save, and some of them I like keep in my inbox for a while because I sort of need to chew. I want to chew on them a little bit.
This one had related,
and they're free. It's free to sign up. From the Gottman Institute really is a great resource for couples.
And we talk about it a lot on our show. So please go ahead and check that out. And there are clickable links to related blog articles on the Marriage Minute email. All right, everybody, please follow us on Facebook at Changing Perspectives Podcast and on Instagram at Changing Perspectives Blog. You can send us an email to changingpodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website by going to changingperspectivesblog.com. And while you're there, don't forget to visit the shop to check out all of that great Changing Perspectives merchandise. Go ahead and subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Say bye, Jenny.
Bye, Jenny.
Are you looking to level up in life with your health, mindset, and personal mission statement? Are you a coach of a sports team or leader of an organization looking to build critical leadership skills for your team? If so, then look no further than GetBurley.com. The Get Burley brand offers life coaching, personal fitness programming, and team building retreats, clinics, and seminars, all designed to empower individuals and teams to become the best versions of themselves. The Get Burley Team Building and Leadership Development Division works specifically with athletic teams, corporate groups, and educational institutions. Through their signature seminars, workshops, and/or retreats, Get Burley will have your team firing on all cylinders and working as an inspired, cohesive unit, committed to the mission and vision of your program or organization. Get Burley will build the inner strength necessary for you and your team to gain clarity around your mission, input strategies to enhance mindfulness, amplify personal accountability and ownership, and much, much more. Do yourself and your team a favor and visit GetBurley.com. Get Burley. Be the best version of you.
The Changing Perspectives podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Dizzy Bird Studios. Please visit Dizzy Bird Studios on Facebook, facebook.com/DizzyBirdStudios.